Okay, welcome, and here we are back in this series about the Craftsman machines, which I think they're the greatest if we actually know about them a little bit. And we're ready. If you follow the videos before, we have actually calibrated this machine beautifully. But okay, so what did we do? I mean, what is the whole purpose of it? And what's nice about these machines is that they have places where it will give you a degree, like where it's at right now has fallen into a spot, and once you lock it, it's giving me that index. And for this arm B here, it will be a miter, it will be 0 degrees, and that's calibrated. We already did that. And that's what's nice about this machine, is because from this setting I can very easily unlock it, bring it over, let it fall into the 45 degree, lock it up, and I have a perfect 45 degree miter. I know a lot of guys have problems. They don't want to move the head because they're afraid that it's not going to fall back into 0, and that's baloney. With these machines, it does. We calibrated it. This is in a 45 degree right now. If we unlock it, take it off the pin, and then rotate it very nicely and let it fall into that pin and lock it up, we are at 0 degrees every time. That's what's nice about these machines. The same thing with the bevel. With the bevel, let me bring you over here. Just want to show you something with the bevel here. We've done the same thing. It's calibrated, but look what happens when I let go of the lock. How the blade moves a little bit. Well, let me lock this up. Let me bring it over so you can see. If I was to unlock it, you see how it moved? Yep, because now I'd be able to, well, right now I don't want to move. It's down to, let me take the blade off. That's what I really should do. This stupid blade. I got this blade just for these videos because it's a Craftsman. And I noticed on the videos that it was upside down, so let me take this off a minute. Couldn't believe that. Anyway, now that we did that, see how it moved? You can see it move. Once I take the lock off, it moves, and now I'm able to rotate it, and the other index is going to give me, it's a 45. If I lock it, that blade is on a 45. It's the bevel 45. And if I continue, it'll give me a 90. I unlock it, bring it to the other pin, lock it up, and now I'm at a 90. That's what's nice about these machines. That's why when I don't know, when we were setting these up, I think I mentioned here and there, but when we are calibrating these, we need to take it, the manual tells you to unlock, let's say we're going to do the bevel, if we were to do that vertical to the table, it tells you to unlock it, and then take the screws, loosen up the screws, and then put it where you're supposed to, and then lock it, and then tighten up the screws, I go the other way around. I usually loosen up the screws first, then when I hold the machine, I unlock it, and then I put it where I want to, and then I lock it. Then I tighten up the screws. I just do it a little differently from the manual. And well, we got the manual. Let me see if I can show you that. I made a copy of this. And sometimes when you read the manual, let me stop you for a second here. Okay, I found it. I just want to kind of, let me move this a little bit, because that's the next thing we got to do is show where the pivots are and where you lock things. You got to know these things. Here's the manual. Actually, it was weird because when I did this machine, must have been 30 years ago, I didn't have to read this to calibrate it. I already know how it goes. It kind of all makes sense. You know, once you do it once, that's it. From there on, you can keep these machines calibrated very easily. You know your table is level, and that's the major thing. Everything falls upon the table. From here on, you can tweak it and get it back to where it's supposed to. But anyway, here's the manual, and I remember way back then that, and this picture here, here's this picture telling you that this lock is the rip lock. Here you go. So anybody who's doing this for the first time is going to be very confused of what's going on, because this here, that's the one they're pointing to. This one, that is not the rip lock. Okay, so let's go through that right now. Get that out of the way. And maybe put you back a little bit. You can see there, I hope. Okay. The first one is going to be this one. This is your miter. Okay, you have, unlock it, and with the same lever, you take the pin off by pushing, and then you can pull it. You don't have to hold it anymore. After that, it's off the pin, so now you can move it. So once the pin goes into the hole, now you lock it. So that's one of them. This one, we already saw this one. We'll go through it again. The next one will be the bevel. That's the bevel one. You unlock it with the same lever. That's the thing about this machine. That one over there is different. We'll go through that one in a minute. But you unlock it, and then if you go all the way, it takes it off the pin. And there it goes. Brings it back, and then you lock it. So that is the bevel. The other one, is the swivel. That's what swivels the machine around, and that's this one, but I usually have a little trouble with because it happens to be in the back in this machine. Let me see if you can see that. It's this guy right here. It's in the back. I'll show you the other machine is over here on the side, which I like. So this is a little confusing. But you go in here, and what you do is you take it off and unlock it, and then if you squeeze it, it comes out of the pin and you can rotate it. Once you get it in there, you tighten it up. You always have to lock it because your settings are done locked. Okay? When you use the machine, everything is locked. Your miter is locked, your bevel is locked, your swing is locked, and the other one you have is this locked, and this is the ripping lock, which everybody uses as their cross cutting, but it's not for that actually. This is actually for the ripping. That's the ripping lock. So if I was to want to rip, I'll do is I'll turn the thing around. There's the blade on the inside. So it'll be an in rip. And then I set where I want my blade to be, and then I lock it. So this is a rip lock, is what it is. And we use it for cross-cutting too, to hold the machine or whatever we want to do. Let me bring this back. Let's see. Okay. Like this. And then in lock. There you go to the back. So those are the four, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 swivels on this machine that it just takes it off the pin, these markings, but it makes it very easily for you to fold back into 0 degrees. On this machine here, let me see. This machine is, let me see. This machine is this one. Is the 113, of course, because 113 is a radial saw, but then it's the 196, and this model is the 321. It looks like it's the one up on top. They also, and they made the 221 without the legs. This one is with the legs, 320, and they also made a 421, a contractor saw, and I believe that is the 3 horsepower. This one here is a 2 3/4, and that's that one. And this, of course, is not electronic, but this machine, when we're going to look at it, it looks, I made a picture of it, it looks like this is the other one I have. This is the electronic one I have. Fully electronic, that's the head of it. And that is 600, can't remember the numbers. Anyway, let's do a little swiveling on this one, which is a little different. And not only that, I kind of like it this way. Let me see if you can see that. Of course, the swivel up on top. You see that? It's up on top. You can able to see that. Is this guy right here. Right now it's locked. If I was to go this way, it's on lock. And if I press it, I'll take the pin off. Right now I can be able to move it. There you go. If it folds right back, if I go in here, there he goes, and then I lock it. That is the miter. That is the miter setting. The bevel, is unique because it has the lock here. It has the lock here, but to take the pin off is right over here. Let me see. The pin is right over here. So if I bring this up, I'm able to rotate the machine, and it goes back into 0, and then you lock it. The swivel is this lever here, which unlocks it. But if I want to rotate it to take the pin off, is this guy right here. So if I push it over, I'll be able to swing it. It falls into 0, and then you lock it. And then, of course, The rip lock is this little knob over here, which holds it from coming forward. So this is a little different. I kind of like this one the way it is, where you have the lock on one and take the pin with a different one. That one over there does both of them with one lever. Okay. We're getting to know this machine a little bit. Let me just stop for 1 second. Okay. I got you another angle here. The other one is tough because I don't know if I have to actually the camera in right. But we're going to talk about a little bit about blade rotation on this machine. I kind of want to put this so you can kind of see how it usually goes. And we have to kind of be careful of what we say, because what we see is altogether different. In this machine, with the blade in there, is the way I see things. This blade is not actually coming at you, but it is actually going down and is going away from you. That's the rotation on this blade in this machine. It's going down and the teeth are going away from you, if you notice. If I was to start ripping with this, I can take the blade out, because if I was to rip with this, then the blade is coming. Let me see if I can turn this. If I was ripping, let me keep it like that for a minute. You always want to rip into the blade, of course, we know that. But the blade is actually coming at you and going up. So here is going down, it's going away from you when you're cross cutting. But when you're ripping, the blade is coming at you, but it's going up. And what's crazy about it is we usually don't look at this kind of. If I was to take a marker and if I was to draw 4 squares here like this, and from here to here like this, and of course you can see that the arbor there with the nut goes there, so we only can use this much of the blade. But what's crazy about it is if I was to put it over here, like you can see this, yeah. So here is a table saw. Ain't that weird? If we look at it this way, this is the blade on a table saw, and the blade is actually coming at you from this side. This is what we're going to cut. Like this, but it's going down, and that's why everybody likes the table saw, because this thing kind of goes down on you. And I don't know, table saw is kind of weird. You can't compare this to a table saw at all. I never had a table saw. I mean, I bought this portable one recently for a job, and I like it, but I never had a table saw. I started with these machines, and I do everything with these. So this is the table saw thing, but with the radial arm saw, we dealing with the bottom half of the blade. And if we was to cross cut, look what happens. It hits the top of our work, going down and away, going away from you. And if you rip, if we were to rip, it also hits the top, coming at you, but it's going up. And that's nice to know, because what happens, especially over here, I got another little gadget here for a minute. Let me see if I can. Here it is. Okay. Here we go. The battery. I can't believe the battery almost dead. Let me change the battery on this. Okay. The batteries here. Okay, I made something else as a demonstration. Kind of make you understand how this machine rotates. If you just cross-cutting, of course, this is just baloney. But I use both ends of the machine, and I don't go with clockwise, counterclockwise. I kind of look at it a little differently. You know, this side here, if you look at that, the blade kind of runs this way and is running clockwise. That's how it runs, and that's the way we look at it, and that's how we say that this blade is running clockwise or spinning or whatever you want to call it. But the arbor on the other side, if we were to look at it, let me see, where are you? This arbor on this side is running the same way, but counterclockwise. They both running, coming at you on both ends, but we will say that this is going counterclockwise. Isn't that weird? But also what's weird about it is that's why I keep saying that if I was a lefty, I would have never bought this machine, because the way I operate this machine, and I always do it the same way every time, is I hold my piece with my left and I maneuver the machine with my right. Always. I have never done it the other way around. I will feel awkward. I will not want to do that. It's one thing you want to do is like, you got to be repetitious of what you do and you'll be okay. I could not operate this head with my left. If I was to hold this here and do it with my left, I would feel very I would not like that. I have to reach over to look. It's really awkward. So, but if Craftsman would have put the arbor on this side for me to put the blade here, because this is actually rotating the same way, I would have bought this if I was a lefty, because now I can hold the piece with my right and I'd be able to handle the machine with my left, and that will feel good for me if I was a lefty. I believe. I'm not a lefty, but this is running the same way as the other side. The only problem with it is when you start flipping now. If I was on this side with the blade running this way, the same way as the other side, but when you look at it from here, it's running clockwise. But if I was to turn the head down, now we see that it's running counterclockwise. But if I'm on the other side, running counterclockwise, just like the other side, but we're looking at it differently. If I was to turn this down, it's running clockwise, so it's running different from the other side. So that's the thing, you have to be careful. Well, I do because I use both ends of this. I could not put a cutter that belongs in this side over in this side because it will not work. Certain cutters do because I'd be able to switch it. A dado, if I put a dado here, and if I was to put it on this side, I could flip the dado for it to work. But some other cutters, you cannot do that. I mean, I use the router on this side, and those bits are for right turn. They have to go clockwise. I will not be able to put them on the other side if I have some kind of attachment. In certain cutters that I have on this side, I cannot use over here because the rotation is different. I think I should mention that. What's another thing I want to mention here? You notice that I haven't cut my table yet? I'm in no rush of doing the mark because I want to do that a little later. Because I barely touch it. I don't need to dig my blade down 3 miles into my table. There's no reason for that. The only thing I need is to go right. If I can put this blade, you can see this. Yeah. If I can bring this blade right there, I'll be able to cut that piece of wood. I don't need to dig it in here. I don't need to dig it in to cut this wood. If I just have that blade right there, right on top of the table, I'll be able to cut that wood. And when you do dados and things like that, you'll actually want to know where your blade is at. The bottom of your blade. 0 will be on top of your table. That's where you measure from there up. 0 from the top of your table. You can't do that if your blade is stuck into the wood. Fencing. Why go any higher than this? This is like 3/4, I believe. All my fences, not all of them, but most of them are about this high. I have a bunch of these, and about, I don't know, looks like 3/4. I don't need to go any higher than this. There's no reason for it at all. There's no reason at all. I have one that's a little higher, and that's because I use a head. I flip this around, and I use the head different. I'll probably show you that. Another thing, very important. I see a lot of this on the videos. Is this is a good one, and my battery is yellow. You probably stop here. Let me put this on a blade here. If I was to bring this all the way back and put a square here where my fence is, would you say that that blade is behind the fence? I think so. But I see a lot of this. They want to gain some space in the front, and what they do is even if you move the little one in front, not even the big one, just the little one, put the fence like that, just to gain, I don't know, this is about 3 inches or so. What will happen here? A lot of people will say it's behind the fence, because it is. The blade is, is not quite over like that. But it's back here, and they say it's behind the fence. Well, is it really behind the fence? It's not. That blade is not behind the fence. And that's what I see a lot of the guys doing out there. This is very dangerous, I feel, and I can see why guys wait for that blade to stop to stick your hands in there. You shouldn't be able to do that. You know, you could, let me see, put it back where it belongs for a minute. These pieces are actually for ripping. If I need more width when I'm ripping, then I can move my fence back, but only for ripping. Only for ripping. I can gain 2-3 inches or whatever it is, 26 inches, whatever it is, for ripping only, not for cross cutting. This is it. And on this table, if you noticed, we lost an inch. I lost an inch on my table because of the guard. This table was like 1.25 inches, I believe, less narrow than the other one I took off of here. So I lost 1.5 inches. Let me see. That table was 17 inches. Right there. That's what that table was. That fence would have fell right there, and still, with that extra inch, the blade is behind the fence. The blade is behind the fence. With that extra inch, I feel I can get in here and do whatever I need to do and not be afraid of that blade being so close. You can't not have it like this. It's crazy. It's just crazy. I figured I throw that in there. Let me stop this for a minute. Okay. I figure I throw that in, but the fence, I have never, now 3 pieces, that's the reason for it, but I always keep the little one in the back. And after working with these machines, I have never had to bring the fence back because the boards I use they come off the mill for ripping. This table here, the same thing. Look how it's not that high. And then that back one, I have a hole here because the arbor goes in there when I'm doing certain types of cuts, but it's the same thing. No, there's no need for the fence to be up that high. There's no need for it. It just needs to hold your workpiece so you can get that 90-degree angle. If we remember, we need to do that to get this 90-degree angle here, and then of course flat to get the other 90-degree angle. Because there's 3 movements you're supposed to be doing with a radial arm saw. And that will be, 1, you gotta hold it flat. You gotta hold it against the fence, and you gotta either push if you're ripping or pull it. I usually go to the other side of the blade and I pull. I push, and eventually I wind up, depending on the piece, I go to the other side, grab the piece, and then I push it. Of course, I hold it down and against the fence, but then now I am pulling the piece. So I push it and then I pull it. And with the cross cut, it's the same thing. You're holding it down against the fence, and here you're pushing, pulling. You gotta kind of pull it, but you gotta push it. You gotta kind of hold it because it wants to come at you. So you're doing both of them at the same time. And in the ripping, you can do just one, but I do both. I go this way and then go to the other side, and I'll show you that later how I do that. Of course, I got other things to keep it safe for me. We'll go through that later. Okay, hopefully, let's see if I got everything I wanted to say in this video while the battery is red. Let me stop it. Okay, I'm going to stop this video. The battery is red. I don't use these. I just got this blade here because it had the Craftsman name, and I figure I show that, you know. But this is what I use. It's a combination. It's the one that came with the machine, and that's all I always use for cross cutting or for ripping. And if I do a lot of ripping, I have one just for ripping. I have it on the other machine in my shop because that's where I do most of my ripping. So I have a different blade on that one. I think it's a 24 tooth on that. And I don't believe there's negative hook at all. I figure I want to cut. I don't want to scrape. With a negative hook, you are scraping. So I don't... whatever you guys feel that you should be doing, there's a lot of stuff out there telling you this and that or whatever. Actually, I never heard of a negative hook until recently. But yes, this is the one I use, combination, and I have one for plywood. I have one, if I'm playing with plywood, I have one. That one's got like, I think it's 60 tooth or something. It's just for plywood. Anyway, let me stop this video and we'll continue. Maybe we'll finally do some cutting here and get this machine to run and do some cuts and see how accurate this machine really is. And thanks for watching.